I realized we struggle with being able to say no. We struggle with being selfish and charging more. And then it's a fun one, anxiety. So the nucleus of all of this for me was reflecting on the fact that when I was younger, I wanted to talk to the girls that I was going to school with or going to summer schools, these summer programs with, but I had a lot of anxiety. But then I also had a lunch pail full of food. And I've talked about this on various interviews, but it dawned on me one day, if I'm hanging out and I got food left over, hey man, I got some food if you're hungry, I'll share it with you. I realized in that moment, I wasn't as nervous. I wasn't stumbling over my words, right? It was my best friend and her sister. Both of them I liked, right? But I was nervous and I had like a lot of anxiety. But in that moment, I recognized if I had a product, which happened to be food, I was less anxious. I was more in control. I realized if I made it not about me and more about what I could bring to the table, I'm a better human. And so the thing that unique about me is I've been in business since I was 15. And I understand that before and after every task is anxiety. So as business owners, if we recognize the power of leaning into or leading with how we can help people, it becomes less about us, which means there's less anxiety, which says, I can do this without trying to be perfect, right? I heard someone say, if what you have can change lives, there should be less hesitation to take action. And I recognized this at 15. And so since then, I've just been compounding my efforts and compounding my intentions to where I am now. In my book, 18 Ways to Lose Money with a Clothing Brand, it was so pivotal because I've been in fashion for 10 years or more. And when I started by charging what my first shirt was 5, 10, 15, 20, all the way up to 100. All right. But what I realized was I didn't need that extended amount of time to charge more. I just thought I did because I wasn't in alignment with my identity. All right. And so my vendetta, right, or my vengeance or my enemy is this concept of identity crisis, this concept of identity and belief not being in sync with each other. Imposter syndrome is really what I'm fighting for other people. To say, if I've gone through the hardship and tribulation of trying to figure this out, let me help you save some time. I don't want it to take you what it took me. I don't want it to cost you what it cost me, right? I've made all the mistakes and I will continue to. And the best part about it, right? I got 10 books you can read on to game up, several videos to game up. Matter of fact, one of my best examples, going back to consistency, I have an assistant. I have one now for about 3 years. And prior to that, I had a great money opportunity with Instagram, making money with Instagram when I was posting. And I was so critical of my content that it delayed me posting, which delayed the payout, which means I made less money. It wasn't until I decided to invest in an assistant where I can now be consistent enough to make money, where it's not about how I feel about the content. It's about what the people want, right? And so in that example, it allows me to say, hey, if you suffer with being too perfect and being your own bottleneck, you may need an assistant. Or you may need a system that allows you to operate in your business with less emotion. So I've helped people since then get assistance, develop systems in that way. But moreover, sense of urgency, right? If it's not important enough, we're not going to take action. It would be different if we were robots, but we're not humans, which means if you don't feel it's important, it's not important. I think it's funny. We prioritize things that aren't important and overlook the things that are important. And then when it comes to our skill set, the newer skills get priority, but the seasoned skills get the back seat. And the seasoned skills are the things that we can help people with. And our pain points is how we relate to people. And so, to answer your question,
So what kind of clients do you normally have?
yes. So, my clients are business owners. That's literally it, business owners. Now, I can go through the list of what kind of businesses they've had to give you some perspective in that regard. So to date, I've helped yoga instructors, life insurance agents, people in the e-commerce space, people that make money doing grants, fitness trainers, people that have actual brick and mortar biz, people that specialize in health and wellness. That could be anything from food or therapy type stuff. There, content creators,
How
authors.
much money do they make, and how much money do they make on average? Like
Right.
just the range.
So the range would be the range to date would be people that make anywhere between for the year, I would say 50K to 500K.
And since when have you been a coach? 2022? Was that 2022?
Yes, that was when I took that's when I started charging, correct.
So what are your frameworks? What are the systems and tools you use?
Yes, okay. Let's talk through it. So the framework that is the most obvious, it's gonna be my five layer confidence framework. This is my bread and butter. This is where I coach from. This is what my confidence score is based on. And briefly, as I said earlier, that's that competence, clothing, cash flow, consistency, and cool. I also have a thing called the favorite number formula, which is where we take your favorite number and lean into that bias and use it as a base to understand everything else in the business. That could be the numbers used for discount. That could be the pricing of products, the length of offer, number of clients, and so on and on. And what this does is it takes away some of that anxiety, of trying to be so perfect to say, I want to present this to my clients, but I feel it need to be perfect to me to sell to them. Having the favorite number formula allows us to not be so focused on what sounds good and be more about getting it to the right people. Cool. Now this is twins, but I'll break it down. Congruency clause. The mirror mantra. I kind of named it that one because it's kind of cool to say mirror mantra, but essentially it's like this. Whatever I'm going through, my client is going through. Whatever I like, my client likes. To say, as I mentioned earlier, the pain points that I have is actually how I relate to my client. So instead of leading with how I feel I can help them, I need to lead with how I can solve the pain. Because, for example, if a single mom, let me not say single mom, if a woman gives birth to a child and she went through an experience that she wants to share or she's overcome or it's difficult, complicated, whatever the case is, there are other moms that went through the same thing probably. She could say to herself, I want to help moms, but I don't know how to help them or who to help. Well, with the mirror mantra, whatever pain she went through with childbirth or raising her child, she can now lean into that as a commonality with her client base. And it's a lot more easier to communicate because there's a lived experience, right? As a business consultant, when you needed help on certain things, I wonder how many of your clients need help. How many of your clients need help with the exact thing, right? And then also, whatever you like, your clients like. Me personally, if I like luxury items and taking trips, guess what? So do my clients. So if I wanted to capture the eyes of my clients, let me show them how I'm living and say, hey, never mind the stripe of life. This is what I spend my money on. If you can relate, hey, let's do business. Maybe meet in Ghana or meet on the beach. Cool. Truly.